Doo-doo. Hi, I'm I guess it's Destiny 2, try not to swear. It's a challenge, yo!
Try not to.
I forgot I was on my tongue.
What?
Dude.
That was my knife. Wait, am I? No, I'm just kind of.
I thought you were.
No, I gotta
I
finish.
in the last couple of days just started playing on the what the hell is the Middle Tree Night
Oh,
Stalker?
you lost. You said H word. So quick, that was like
dirty!
5 minutes.
Yeah!
Not
Well,
even 5 minutes.
let's not be surprised by that. Let's not even act surprised by that. I can do challenge mode in raids. I swear. I just can't do challenge mode in real life.
You know, I forgot.
Freeze!
Alright. Oh, good.
Freeze! Oh,
Another bullet. Where's another man? Oh, well.
I hate this dude. I'm surprised that he did not randomly teleport. Excuse us.
Blasted him fast enough.
Yay.
Oh, I gotta do void and arc. I don't want to switch. It just got me pretty on. Oh well. What were we talking about? We were talking about like I know artificial difficulty and then some other stuff.
Well, also like all the quality of life changes between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, where there is really a gap. There's a gulf between them. And,
What do you mean?
well, when you're switching from one game to the other, there is. It's weird. It's like a backwards learning curve. Like, even if you've cut your teeth on Destiny 1, and then you go into Destiny 2, and things are, things are what they are, in the game. When you go backwards to Destiny 1, it's like you have to relearn the game all over again, because you can't do this, you can't do that. This is scaled differently. Some
exotics aren't even the same perks anymore.
Yeah. You have to level up every single piece of gear that you have, and if you haven't done it, then you're not going to get the full benefit. It's a much more difficult game.
Absolutely. I think that's why a lot of people can't really get into it, or they get into it after they play D2.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so weird. It's like, it is... If I was gonna recommend anybody to play this game, I'd be like, play D2. Well, first of all, it's cross-platform cost save. And for a good chunk of it, it is free. You know, it's a great, see if you like the playstyle, run around. I think that's a fantastic idea. And I like that. And, like, a portion of it being free. I'm like the weird where it's like, it's free, not really, but it is, but it's listed as free, but it's not. If you blink, it might be free. It's like, well, what is it? Like, I'm not a fan of that, like, whole vagueness of it, but...
It's like it's a free trial, basically.
Right, pretty much. And again, not a bad thing, because, you
not
know,
pooping on that.
Yeah, because Cosmodrome's open, and it's like, that's... in D1, that's where you're gonna be for a very long time. You just have to. The other places are way too difficult. And, you know, it's fine. But, so I do like that they did bring back the Cosmodrome in D2. However, I would be like, don't play too much of the story in D2, or at least don't get too attached to it, because things are constantly changing and being removed. If you start playing it like right now, if you started D2 right now, you're so confused narratively as a starting, unless you come in with somebody or people, or like at least a prerequisite of what's going on. you're gonna be just confused as all hell. And, you know, again, it's why they brought the Cosmodrome and they have the new light thing, but it's like, who's Osiris? Who's Crow? Who's Uldred? Who's Cade? What is all of this going on? Why should I care?
Yeah, and then going from, oh, I can just buy this weapon, or it'll drop in world, or it's a reward from XYZ thing, it's like, oh, now I can make stuff? Because, like, a lot of the central mechanics to the game are going to be changing in 2 weeks.
Right? That's a huge thing too. It's like it is so.
The classes are getting reworked. Yeah, it's you get used to playing it one way over the course of 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden, I mean, it may not be such a steep curve because you don't have the muscle memory of like the last year or so, or a few years, depending. For the particular class and subclasses that you've been working, maybe that's good.
I don't know.
It's gonna be a thing.
It's gonna be weird. So, you know me, I try to avoid vid docs, trailers, and all that stuff because unfortunately, there are a lot of instances where movies, video games, books release too much information in trailers, and it's like, okay, that's direct. Why should I play it? Right?
That's the entire movie. Why am I going?
Right, exactly. Too much information. And even, you know, Bungie is still pretty good about, like, here's a lot of information, but just kidding. That's just, like, the first mission that you got information for. But still, you know, I want to see that in the first mission. So I don't know how much of a change, but I think it's going to be a lot more like Stasis now, which is more like how it was in D1, but instead of, you know, we gotta bring it in, you know, it's for Beyond Light. When we had to do level up everything for Stasis, that was reminiscent of D1's leveling, where it's like you have to do it piece by piece, which is fine. I actually don't mind that. I think it's a nice pace where it's like you can get everything unlocked all at once. You have to actually work for it, which is really nice. However, I hated that it was only constricted to, like, you had to do Crucible, you had to do strikes, just to get it unlocked, versus here you go, get 500 kills in anything, go. And then it's unlocked. It's like, oh, okay. So I'm not gonna look forward to that if that's the situation where it's like, oh, you want this new, like, Void subclass aspect? Cool, you have to use... Not that you have to use Void, that being an issue, it's you have to use Void and it'll only count in Gambit. And I'm like, I don't like using Void in Gambit. Or like, even then, I really hope there's not that weird constriction there that doesn't need to be there.
Right.
Because it doesn't.
Like, I was on my Hunter for the past 2 or 3 days, I'd say, trying to get in, because I got Omnioculus to drop for my Hunter, which is the sign of the end times or something, because I can't get I cannot get exotics to drop for my Hunter, and then the game gave me Radiant Dance Machines, which is a joke. It's the game saying,
yeah.
Because, yeah, I've tried using them, and I don't even sure if they're back to working. Excuse me. I don't know. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not.
I haven't gotten it in this one, so I don't know.
It's kind of poopy, if it is working. But yeah, I was trying the Middle Tree, Night Stalker. The Way of the Wraith. And that is such a weird super.
My thing is the camera.
The camera's terrible.
Yeah.
It's awkward. I don't know why it's so strange. It wants to be Blade Dancer, but it's not Blade Dancer. And really, the only utility I see for it is kind of what Blade Dancer became in endgame activities, which was go invisible, get the revive.
Mm-hmm.
Because Graviton Forfeit, I mean, yeah, precision shots will give you an extended period of invisibility. Um, you've got Assassin's Veil
Mm-hmm.
that gives you invisibility. But yeah, it's just I I don't understand that super.
It's weird. It's definitely a weird one. Honestly, those that are good with it, I'm
Yeah.
terrified of because there's people who are quote unquote good with it, but then you see them just hacking and slashing versus I'm gonna hack and slash a little bit, wait, and then I
Mhm.
see an enemy, you know, actually use it how you're supposed to versus I'm just gonna wee, just smack
Mhm.
around everything. It's like you don't know how to use it versus somebody who knows how to use it.
Oh gosh, it was like back in the day in Crucible. Whenever you saw a blade dancer, that was terrifying.
Right?
Because the people who ran it knew how to use it, like you said, and it was just, yeah, you're dead. It's instant death. You see somebody pop blade dancing, you're just like, this is how I die. Okay. Next
Right.
round. Let's go.
Right. Okay, so speaking of super, so we both agreed that for Blade Dancer and then for Middle Tree Void for Hunter, Way the Wraith, you have to know what you're doing in order to
Mhm.
fully utilize it.
Oh
What's
yeah.
another super? And that could be for Hunter, Titan, Warlock again. It could be the same subclass. What's another super that you think you have to know what you're doing in order to really use it well?
Since we're talking about hunters, I
Mm-hmm.
do think that the other two void subclasses,
Mm-hmm.
was it Way of the Hunter, Way of the Trapper? But
Mm-hmm.
basically the ones where you fire off your Night Stalker bow,
Yeah.
because the one that ensnares, even it's that one primary anchor when it latches on that'll do the damage. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the individual shot, whereas the one that you would ideally use, um, it's got quiver shot on it, Mobius quiver, I think. That's
I
the one
think so.
where the individual shots do the damage.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you don't really know the difference and you just kind of assume that every shot's gonna count, like, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, unfortunately. But then also with hunters, I think the middle tree arc strider with guarding, because that's an
I
interesting
might
mechanic.
disagree with you on that one for
Mm.
the Arc Strider middle tree. Hello. Let's
This
see. Okay,
man,
you're almost here. You're gonna see this person just zoom around me. What's he doing?
this is
I
this
need
is a
to.
dance
I
of
don't
courtship.
know. I don't know. It's just my pause menu looking at my stuff. Help
He's
me.
a he's a he's, he's a descendant. He's attracted to fellow descendants, even though you're not wearing your descendant title.
He's like a shark in water. I'm gonna die. What's he doing? Look at him.
Like, hey, so how you doing?
Where's he going?
When you
Sorry.
get the when you get the ugly, ugly scorn sparrow, sir, madam person.
Can we go to Nessa's by the way? Wow, look at your butt cheeks were like in my face. Wait, I'm trying.
You are fire team leader. How dare? Really?
I just
Oh,
wanted to let you know. What's he doing?
you got the little lantern.
Oh yeah, that's what
The little New Year. Hey, what's up?
the
How you
little
doing?
lamb. Wave goodbye. Yay.
Okay, so fight me on middle tree, arc strider.
Middle tree arc strider. All right.
Yes.
So I feel like once you pick up, and this goes for everything. Once you pick up, like, oh, this is what you're gonna do. I feel like a lot of people, because I've seen it a lot in Crucible, where people don't use it really to attack. They just use it to defend and try to waste your ammunition or your super. versus using it to attack or having it to reflect off. And of course, that's the point, it's supposed to reflect off. But there are some people who just, oh, I could just block, and that's all they do. Even if it's just bullets, or even if it's just themselves. And it's like, you have your super, you're allowed to attack me with it. Why are you just, that's not really the entire point of that super. It's meant to be an offensive and personal defensive thing, not just defensive. It's not a bubble. And like a lot of people tend to use it that way, and I'm like, that's super weird. For a hunter to do that, it's like, it's not a bubble. You don't have a, that's not your thing. You have it there where if you're surrounded and, oh my god, I can spin my staff fast enough, deflect bullets and stuff, that's what it's there for. Versus, I'm just gonna run in and just stand in the middle and just look like a Star Wars man. It's like, get out of here. Like, no. Just block.
I mean, it seems to me a super that takes a, like, you pretty much have to dedicate yourself to the use of it to be able to use it effectively. Like, you've got your super, you're trying to take me out, I'm gonna deflect, and then, you know, I'll carry on an attack after you've wasted your heavy or whatever.
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I feel like just because the amount of times, so I don't use it. I'm not a big fan of Arc. I've never been really big fan of Arc for hunters in D1 or D2. I just don't like how it feels. I'm like, so I can see what people use it, but it's not for me. But again, it's more. So this is more my preference of being the observer rather than using it. Just for how many people I've seen use it in such a weird way. It's like, okay, do you know how to really use it, or do you just know how to block? Like, that's more my thing with it than people like using it or not using it. But I don't know. That's just me. I'm not a hunter main, so I say I'm a hunter, but I'm not a hunter main at all. Like, nah.
Yeah, I'm very much not a hunter main. I mean, I picked up hunter to be more of like a utility player. It's same with warlock. Like, I just didn't want to be. One, I did want to like learn the other subclasses, but I also didn't want to be like, you know, a one trick kind of a player, especially like in a clan setting. Like, I want to be useful.
I think it's not even just usefulness. Like, I kind of did it because I'm like, all right, let's just see what everybody's talking about. Oh, this is fun. And like, even then, like, what's funny is I'll use my hunter for really casual. I mean, it is 3 in the morning.
Oh, you turnip! I tried. He decided to teleport out the way.
Oh, you're doing the public event I left.
Yeah, he's teleported out of the way when I locked onto him with my rockets.
Oh no.
You're nasty.
But listen.
I mean, it's also good to run other classes too, so that you have an expectation for what they can do in PvE and PvP. So you're not going in there and it's like, space magic!
Right. Or like, even if it is just, you know, we'll just go with a PvE setting, right? Like, even if it is PvE, I'm just seeing your name drop. That was really funny.
I tried to break too. That broke my ankles.
Oh, yeah, I felt it.
Alright. Please, friend, stop. Stop it!
My thing with it is, so I'll use, it's super weird, and I'm sure most people are like this. Everybody has their mains. I'm a warlock main through and through. I can do everything with that dude. But I have, so my hunter is more my, you know, as I was saying earlier, it's late at night. I don't really want to talk with people. I just put on my headphones and then I just run around, pick up some little weenie bounties that I can do without thinking, and just jump and grab stuff, and that's it. I rarely go into Crucible with him. I'm just not good with him in Crucible. Like I've tried. I can hold my own, but I definitely do struggle with it. Because I mean, from Warlock to Hunter, it's like that's a honestly from any of them. But I think the
Ugh.
transition is easier from Titan to Warlock and Warlock to Titan.
Mhm. Yeah,
For
I
me,
agree with that.
anyways. Yeah, like, because I used to, like I said before, I was very close to being a Titan main. The only difference was, I was like, because I'm always a tank in a lot of the games, and I was like, oh, let me switch it up. Let me do magic. And then, that was it. That was
Yeah,
the only
I'll be a
thing.
caster.
Yeah! I'm in love with everyone who's this class now. Uh-oh!
Oops.
Whoopsies. But I don't know. And then like my Titan, God, I used to use her a lot in Crucible. She was really fun. She'd be the one who I was just like, I just want to murder everyone without thinking about it. I just want to punch. I don't want to float. I just want to punch and run. So can you imagine which one's my main class for
Oh
Titan?
boy. Yeah, I see it.
He
Are you
love
shooting
the
at me,
fright
little
train.
30? Little season 30? Let me stay. So you trying to tell me?
He likes it.
There's a public event incoming.
He's like, don't leave me, please. I don't know. It just that's more my thing, I wanted to be like, ooh, I got some fun stuff. And then what was it in? I know there was like the joke in D1 where it's like you got an exotic for a class you don't have. Now you
Hmm.
have to make that class. You find
Me,
use for it.
okay, me getting Heart of Praxic Fire on my Titan out of a legendary engram. Thank you. That's my story.
Oh no.
Oh, and it was great because the clan I was in at the time. We usually just ran a three-person fire team. So my buddy was a warlock main, his wife is a hunter main, and I'm a titan main. And he was just like, we come into the tower, and he's just like complaining. Oh man, I want Heart of Phyrexic Fire so bad because he's a warlock. I want it. I've never gotten it. When am I gonna get it? Why is it so impossible to get? I roll up to Rahul, ask him to decrypt the legendary engram, and bam.
No. I would have
Yeah.
cried. I would have left. I would have been like,
Oh,
I'll see you later.
he jumped off the tower.
Oh.
He immediately jumped off the tower. He's like, that's it, I'm done. I'm like, no, wait, if I could give it to you, I would. That doesn't matter.
That's so funny. Oh my god. But I've been there before. I've been there. Ooh, okay. So you said you've been there before. Or not, trade. You can give something to somebody.
Yeah.
Trading option in Destiny. Yes or no?
Yes, because, and it's funny to compare the Division to Destiny because Ubisoft did it first.
Mm-hmm.
But that became an option in Division. And I think a lot of it was to do with, they would always send out stuff asking, like, oh, what do you like in Destiny? What do you appreciate about Destiny? What about this in Destiny? What about that in Destiny?
Hmm.
I don't remember per se if that's one of the ones they were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was something that got introduced into the first Division title. And it's neat because it's not every item.
Mm-hmm.
And the trade is basically you drop the item. So, like, you'd be able to see other people's engrams. Right? Which would be the thing. Because you would have to have some kind of universal system for drops.
Yeah.
Oh no. I got... Oh, why did you die in a puddle of radiolarity?
Oh no.
Oh no. But yeah, I mean, it's... it works. It's cool in the Division because, like I said, it's not every son of biscuit. Okay, we cannot make this heroic. No, because we can't make this heroic. The map is too janky.
Oh.
And it's a limited amount of time in the Division with regard to you being able to drop something for someone else. So it's not like, hey, 10 years later, when I get back to the tower, here's the thing. You have to do it in a combat area. You have only like 2 or 3 minutes, I forget how long it is, to actually have the drop available. And it's not every item, so it's not like you could get, you know, I just got a god roll last word and have it available to drop.
Oh, so you can't drop something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think even more so in the context of, oh, you could only, because there are, they don't call it that, but it's very clearly delineated into like common, uncommon, rare.
Yeah.
And there are certain weapons that you can't get outside of doing a particular mission, i.e. strike. I think strike would be the comparable thing. So yeah, it's like if you got, I don't know, I'm just gonna throw out a name of a thing, a Liberator off of a certain story mission. You're not going to be able to like drop it for a guy. But if during the side mission you picked up some legendaries, then yeah, it's like, oh, I don't want this. Because there are also certain sets that you can, which lead to particular build types in the game. So like say, you can say, oh, I don't need these Nomad gloves because I have a full Nomad set. Yeah, do you want them? Oh yeah, drop them, guy can pick them up. And you're not locked into keeping it either. So you're able to, you know, look at it and, you know, either accept it or not.
Yeah.
So if Destiny, if Bungie were able to enact something like that, I think it would be helpful to the game economy, just because the game economy is really,
It can be brutal sometimes, man.
it really can be. And like even just for open world items, like I'm trying to, for some reason I don't have the entire Scatterhorn set on either my Warlock or my Hunter. And the Scatterhorn set, this is not where I need to go. The Scatterhorn set is tied to the Tangled Shore, and Tangled Shore is going bye-bye.
Yeah.
So, like, I've been trying to get it, so I've just been running stuff on Tangled Shore, you know, doing the lost sectors, doing the bounties, etc., etc. And I can't get any of that to drop.
Holy crap.
And it's like every other, it's like here, have like the you know, the insight stuff, which is Future War Cult. I don't need that. I already have all that. Why are you dropping it for me on the Tangled Shore?
That is weird, huh?
Yeah. And so I tried doing the decrypting Umbral engrams, just as, you know, for world drops in different different seasons. And still I'm not getting it, so like if I knew somebody who was a hunter and they had like the Scatterhorn pieces, I would just be like, it would just be wonderful, right? That I could get that, and like maybe they don't have the prodigal stuff, and I could be like, oh, okay, here's the prodigal Greaves.
So do you think, okay, so kind of to go off a bit more what you're saying. So let's say you have Prodigal Greaves, I have Scatterhorn.
Hmm.
Because how Destiny is, for the whole completion thing, the unfortunate issue is I can see people who have sets that other people don't have, and then they complete it via trade.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be fair that you and I trade equipments, like a whole set of Prodigal and then Scatterhorn, but that gets removed from my inventory, so I'll have to hunt for Scatterhorn again? Or do you think it should still remain loaded in my inventory that I already obtained this?
I think it should remain in the inventory. And I say this because before the Great Content Vault, I had deliberately gone to each of the vaulted locations, Mercury, Titan, Io, and basically did a tour where like I kind of said goodbye to each of the vendors, but I made sure that I had the entire set. Because I'm like, for nostalgia's sake, I wanted to have, the Lost Pacific set from Titan because I love Sloan. I wanted to have the Gensum Scribe set from Io because of Asher,
Yeah.
or, the Kairos Function stuff because of Mercury. And I had those, and at some point, whatever update it is, the game changed the collections to be, oh no, you will have to have from this season being Season of the Lost in order to complete that badge.
Oh yeah, that's right. I do remember you talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the same for all of them, not just from vaulted content. It's even okay. Wow! Don't shoot me when I'm trying to jump, please. Thank you. It's also like the Exodus Down stuff, the Wildwood stuff. So it's like, why do I have to re-get all of this armor? It's at 1100. And now I got to spend legendary shards and money on it. Why?
Yeah.
That's kind of goofy to me. And also,
For something like that, yeah, that I will say they should have just counted it. I don't know why they did that weird reset. Super dumb.
yeah, but I mean, it does show that they're able to do that. I don't know if it's an oversight on their part, where they took, but the older items are still in collections, so it's not like they completely took them out of all. They took the value out of all tables. You can still see them in collections, and you actually see dupes. You see the Red War version, or like in the case of the Mercury stuff, you see the Curse of Osiris version, the Braytech stuff from Mars. You see that it's the Warmind version, and then you see that there's another version of it with Season of the Lost Emerald.
Yeah. Yeah, which is weird, I mean, there was a whole backlash, and and rightfully so, like when the Moon gear, you were able to get that drop masterwork, and then they vaulted it, and then like I think 2 weeks in, they're like, hey, the armor's back, and so are just a handful of the weapons, and it's like, why would you vault something that's not gone away? Like, people still do nightmare hunts. People still have those because
People still
of
do the
lost
pit.
sectors. Yes, people still do the pit, and there's all these things, nightmares are lost sectors. They're now nightmares. They weren't nightmares before, so it's like, that's something that's still active. Why would you get rid of it? That didn't make sense. Made me included very upset because it
Oh
was like
yeah.
I had an awesome set for everybody, and even if I didn't like it, I could just dismantle it and just get the
And grind
resources.
for another one. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, it's like, no, I just have to grind for a basic set?
Right? It's like, what am I gonna grind all this hard work for, like, the pencil? When I can not do that.
When I already did it for
Right?
that particular expansion. Like yeah, it's
Right.
really odd. It's also odd, like the same thing with the Dreaming City. That got all vaulted.
Yup.
And now
That
it's back.
just didn't make sense. Yeah.
But not every weapon. Just, it's so...
Like, what was the point of that? If you were gonna vault it, just
Yeah.
do the, you know, the ones that are going. Even then, I feel like it shouldn't have been vaulted anyways, because some of this stuff, it's like, hang on. Like, some of this stuff was just like, oh, you can't get it anymore, and it's so weird. Like, you can't get it, but sometimes you can. Like, some of the really old gear you can still get, and it's like, okay, why was that? That's just sunsetted, that wasn't vaulted. And that's not an issue. I don't mind that it's been sunsetted, but how they went about it, you know, I think the issue was they went about it very quickly, way too much, way too fast, which is why I think they brought back the Moon and Dreaming City, because there was legitimately no reason for them to remove it, none
No.
whatsoever.
It's like, okay, Learn Beyond Light. Yeah, I get that, but it's not like Shadowkeep came out 5 years ago or something.
Right? And like the stuff was still really, really good. It's like, yes, this way it's still used. That's why people still hunt for them. Like,
Yeah,
people still do the lecture and stuff because it drops good gear.
it really does. And like some of the weapons really handle nicely. Like Love and Death is still one of my favorite grenade launchers. I just think, especially when it's got full court on it, it's just fun to use. It really is. And why bring everything back except for the sword?
Right?
Mm.
That was well, no, there's still some guns. Was it?
Oh, I think the hand
Loud
cannon or no?
Lullaby? Yeah, I think Loud Lullaby was one that they didn't bring back, and a lot of people were upset about that. And I was like, I didn't see that many people use it, but I'm wondering if I just never got a good roll on it. But I know a lot of people talked about that one. They were upset that it got sunsetted, or yeah, sunsetted, but then brought back. I'm a game developer and I don't understand why that was done. The active seasons. And then if they're gonna vault it, if they're gonna sunset it, just remove it. Because there's no point. Because you can. Yeah, because there's some of these, like, it's data within the game that you can't, like, Black Armory gear, you can never reclaim again. It doesn't matter if you got it. It's a random roll. If you delete it, it is gone forever. You cannot pick it up. So just remove it entirely from the game. Why haven't they? And it's not like they're re-rolling it, and it's like, you know, because a lot of people thought, oh, is Black Armory gear gonna come back again if you didn't get it during that season? Can you earn it again? Or can you earn one that you haven't earned before? Nope. Just Synthweave, which is fine. I enjoy Synthweave. I like that they found a use for Ada instead of just having her be a Hawthorne or an Ikora, honestly.
Yeah.
Give her some use. Oh boy. But I don't know, the trading can go well, but I can see it unfortunately getting exploited so bad that they just either ruin how it worked originally or they just remove it. Or in the next installment, hey, you can only trade items from this season. Like it being a season ago stuff versus current season. So people will stop exploiting it.
Well, again, it really depends on how they implement it. Which, I mean, I don't know if that's something that would be more feasible now that they're part of Sony Entertainment and would therefore have more access to resources. More access to resources, I should say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that entails more of an RPG element that the Destiny franchise doesn't really have. It kind of portrays itself as having it, but it doesn't really have it. It has like the grand strokes of it, like, oh, you can transmog your gear, which is like, depending on what RPG background you've got, oh, it's like putting on a glamour, it's like putting on a cosmetic item. You know, a lot of RPGs have that. You know, then you can get XYZ thing from vendors, and use materials to, you know, upgrade your gear, and that's kind of RPG-ish, but not.
I think they got the important basis of it. Because what's funny, I can't remember where it was, but I know they did talk about it. I think this was when they were under Activision and stuff, where they did talk about trade, because they're like, okay, trading, you know, in this type of game, is that allowed? And apparently, I think Activision said no, don't implement trades, just because I think, and I could be remembering this entirely wrong, I don't remember if it was Activision or not, but there was somebody, the research that was done, they said that this lowered the value, or like the replayability of certain things, because if you could just trade a sword that was from this event from Spring for somebody who didn't play it, but they have the gun you want, well, you don't have to do the event. You could just give the sword to that person because they want the sword and they don't really care much for the gun. So there's one instance there of one person not playing the content that they either paid for, or they're purposely not paying because they're like, well, I can still get it if I trade it. Because there was like a whole like thing with that, which is why one of the bigger reasons why they just said no to trading. And it's like, I could see that, you know, I can totally see that for somebody who, let's say somebody who doesn't play Trials and they want the helmet, but they just refuse to go in. Well, what if somebody they met hates raids and they have a helmet from a raid they like? Well, there's 2 events that those accounts will not be participating in, and that can unfortunately lower the things. It's like, just sit down and play Trials, or just sit down and play a raid. Both of them are great, both of them have their ups and downs, but it's not that bad. It's not awful. It's not the end of the world, you'll be okay. So it's, you know, there are some people who do argue where, I can't remember what event or something it was, but people will always, not always, but there are some people who play the game, but they also hate the game, where they're like, oh, they're only doing this event to artificially inflate the numbers of how many people are in Destiny. It's like, no, that's not artificially made. That's people actually playing in this time. You can't really artificially inflate numbers when there are that many people actively participating in, I don't know, dares, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's 100 people playing for like a really low number, because that one's like super big. It's not like, oh, 50 people made bots. It's like, no, that's not the same thing as we talked about. I don't know if we got it on stream or not, but the whole artificial difficulty thing. It's like, it's completely different thing. But people love seeing the artificial numbers getting raised for this event to look like there's more players online than there's not, and it's like, you don't know what. No. That's not how it works. Like, unless there's some weird formula that I am not aware of, or like some weird thing, unless the argument was specifically Season of the Chosen didn't do good, but they did an event where a lot of the player base came back, and they're gonna say, "Oh, Season of the Chosen had the most player base comeback." Then yes, that it's a different thing, where it's like, okay, you're making it sound like there are a lot of people came back because of Season of the Chosen, not because of the event that was in Season of the Chosen.
Yeah.
Then
I mean,
yes, that's the argument I can see being made, but a lot of people don't point that out.
yeah, but that's all spin because you're just taking data and like say, oh, Festival of the Lost is the event that brought everybody back to Season of the Chosen, or season of the Splicer rather. Like say Season of the Splicer had poor numbers, but Festival of the Lost brought them back in. It's like, yeah, you could put out a press release or something saying that Season of the Splicer had great numbers. But then when you actually look at the data, it's like, yeah, it had good numbers from like October to, November, which we know we can attribute to Festival of the Lost. Or The Dawning, or, whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the unfortunate thing is that people can take data and mold it to whatever narrative they want it to fit to.
Either way.
And it's like, oh, the meta for PvP is using this weapon and that weapon. And it's like, most effective tactic at the moment, or most effective tactic available. That's meta.
Exactly.
That's
it's
what
like,
meta
this
is.
Really good.
It's like,
it's
yeah.
like, is the gun good? But
it's
is
good
it good
at that moment,
or...
at that point in time, or because the people you faced, their builds were like this, or because a catalyst came out, or because there's a mod out and the mod gives it a little tiny bump.
I mean, there was the whole thing with what was so funny is I'm that guy that likes to use weapons and stuff that most people don't like to use, especially in PvP, because it's funny. And man, you using Igneous Ham with the fusion rifle, a man behind you kills you with a gun that's named after, that's a rat.
Oh yeah.
Like how, it's just like, why did this? And then he goes invisible. It's like, what? I got killed by a rat, literally. You got literally killed by rats. So it's like, it's just, for me, it's a funny little thing. But how I use it, for me, it's considered meta. For somebody else, they'll look at me and be like, well, that's a crappy little gun.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, well, say that to my face when I'm invisible and you're dead. Like,
But it's like, why are you using, the 7th Seraph hand cannon? What's wrong with you? That's a crap gun. And I'm like, yeah, but do you know how many kills I've gotten with it? Because that's my meta. That's what works for me.
Right.
That role, that masterwork, the way I handle it, that makes it meta for me. That's why the majority of kills that I get in PvP, not like I'm some PvP god or anything, but it's auto rifles and hand cannons, because that's my meta.
Exactly. Like, mine's is sidearms, ARs, and snipers. I did okay with shotguns, but it's like grenade launchers. I got like 3. No, correction. I got Witherhoard Catalyst, so maybe like 50. But it's like not much. So I'm like, when people were using Mountaintop, or again, we'll use this season, there's been a resurgence of certain grenade launchers. I can't remember what it was, a specific thing that they have to have on.
Blinding grenade?
I don't remember what in the world it was called, but a lot of them are like, oh my god, you have this and that, and you're set, you're good to go, you should do this, and it's great. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's so meta. And it's like, for you it's meta, for me it's a death sentence. No. It's like, I will kill myself with that. It's impossible to kill yourself with that.
Have
you have not met me. Like, you have not met Me specific. I would die in the dumbest ways. How'd you die this way? It was just a leaf blowing in your face. Yeah, well, you know that leaf did 900 damage to me. I don't know why. Like,
It had a spike grenade attached to it. That's,
right?
that's your problem.
Yup. Yep. So it's like, whatever. And then, people will look at me. I'll use some funky snipers. Or at least I used to main Darcy before that buff that it got that everybody was like, Darcy's better now. It's like, Darcy's always been pretty good. It's had its moments where like, it's not the best, but it's like, it's always been a good gun. It just got better, and suddenly it's meta. And it's like, I guess, that's the point of meta. It's a weapon that either people are sleeping on, or hey, it's suddenly really, like, it's doing like 50% more damage. Okay, fine, but like, I don't know. When people say meta in Destiny, I don't really believe them, because it's the whole thing with god rolls. This will be my last tangent on it, and then I gotta go be a little good egg and go to school.
A little egg.
A little egg and go to school. But roll for this gun, and for me, it cannot be a god roll. Like, for me, for a sniper, is either no distractions, demolitionist, box breathing, demolitionist, pretty much anything with demolitionist, because I'm a grenade heaven fool. I swear, I love grenades. And there was a beloved that I don't know if I still have the roll on it. I remember it had demolitionist, and people were like, "That's a crappy roll on it." Dead. Dead. Sit down. I know how to use this gun. This is my gun. I use my grenade. It auto loads it, and it feedbacks, and it's all that stuff. So it's like, what is a god roll but to the person who believes it? Amen. Jesus Christ.
It's a god roll to a man.
God bless America. Oh man, but
little Vex-looking thing.
Yeah, isn't he so cool? Oh, he matches. Back up a little bit and kind of look up at the sky. You can see like the Cabal thing. Wow, I meant.
A Vex Scion.
I would cry if that's a thing.
Scions don't need to be any more OP, please.
They don't need teleporting on top of teleporting me. Like, no, that would be the worst thing.
No,
Why
thank
would
you.
Get that thought process out of my head. I don't like that. Where's my grenade? Oh,
that is huge. Look at that. Put your leg up to it. Oh! Oh no. Dead. I died. I died. Ugh. I didn't know you were a tripod.
Oh
look
yeah.
at that. Oh, it's done. Aw. It despawns too quick. The knife.
Oh, my knife? Mainly the butter knife?
It should stay.
Wait, what happened with it? I'll get it in like a minute, but
it despawned too quickly. It got me in the back, like Caesar and Brutus.
No, it's
two.
Ouch. That hurt. Oh, world, look at you jiggling over there.
Wiggle it just a little bit.
Just a little bit of a wiggle. Yeah. Oh, you moved.
Oh. It's so big. Where do you keep it? Where do you keep that thing?
I showed you where I keep it.
Lord. Stinky doo doo poo poo.
Stinky doo doo, man.
Stinky doodle. Poopy head.
And no doodle head. Oh, I don't want to go to school.
Go. One of us has to be smart. Go.
You helped me out with my homework last semester. Are you sure it's me?
Yeah, because you can be the one getting the degree. I'm not.
Still, I gotta do work afterwards. Oh, capitalism.
Yeah. Monies.
Monies. Okay. I'll talk to you later. I know I'm gonna be I know I'm gonna be grinding some more tonight. I'll be grinding with my clan, but tomorrow is Thursday. I should be down for grinding just like whatever, because I'm trying to get a lot of monies on all my characters for that season jump thing. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get armor on my other two before it goes away. But I'm sure I can buy it from Zer.
Maybe.
Mama.
Okay, so goodbye.
Bye-bye.